Hello and welcome. I am Raziel, as always. Someone who likes to help people get into the hobby, either by financially, showing you ways of, not doing and not making your army so expensive, or just general advice on your first steps into the hobby. And I'm doing this entire month based on that. However, tomorrow I'm not doing one just because I've got a different video coming up because something came up today and I think it's fantastic and I want to talk about it tomorrow, and I can kind of tie it in with a getting started video. However, today it's about campaign books, army books, codices, whatever you want to call it, supplements, extra bits and pieces that you may need to play the game. And I use the term may need, not that you have to use, because whereas a certain company does tend to do a have to buy, but we'll get to that later in the video because I do believe that's something quite important, worth talking about. So the first thing I want to talk about is apps. Now, 4 companies do apps and Battlescribe. Battlescribe is really good on the phone. I don't like it on the PC. I don't like it on my computer. On my phone, I love it. I think it's nice. It's easy to use that way than on your PC. I don't like it on the PC. But that is one of the best ones because it isn't focused on a single game. It's focused on several games. There's loads of games there you can build armies for, and you can experiment, and you can print off and PDF the rules for your army as you see fit. And I like that. I think that's good. So having that ability to have all the rules printed off for yourself, kind of up to date, because it is a community thing as well. Because it is free. There is an option to buy, so you don't have adverts. But it is a community thing, and I think this one is fantastic because, like I said, it covers a wide range of games, and you're not going to just pick one game. You can sort of make army lists for plenty of games there. I've been playing about with the Kings of War bit. I'm going to see a bolt action to it now, and then they've got Conquest on there. So I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting and playing around with it. But the ability to do several different games on this single app is really good. The Conquest one, the Power Bellum Games one, is really good as well. I like this. It's good on the phone, and it's pretty much the same thing on your PC. So you can use it on PC and phone. And again, it's very simple to use. You click your army, you click what you need to build, and it gives you the points, the rules, and everything else on your phone. But the bonus with this one is, with one of the rules of Conquest, that you draw a card, and that's the unit you use. And rather than having all the rules on the card, you've got a little QR code which you use the app for to scan, and you can bring up the rules on your phone. So it keeps the game moving. So if you're sort of like, hold on, I haven't really used this unit a lot, I want a bit more experimentation, and I want to see if I got the rules right. You just go click phone, and you don't have to scroll through your army to get up the rules either. And all the rules are there. So if it's got any special rules, such as decay for the Vanguard, no, not Vanguard, not bound ones. Gosh, my head's gone now. The onslaught drones. That's the one. Onslaught drones. Decay. You have the rules for decay there in there. So any special rules are also there, which you just press on or you just click on, and it brings it up. Very good app. Warlord Games has one as well, which covers their games. Again, it's very simple to use. I didn't like how restrictive it is. I just think that's the way with battle action in general. It's quite a restrictive way of building your armies. I want to do, Desert Rats, which is an armoured division, and I'm trying to find a way where I can sort of bring more tanks into it. So if you guys can help me with that, even with 3rd edition coming out, please leave a comment. But it is a good app, and like I said, everything's easily laid out. But it doesn't have the special rules, unfortunately. But you can just add the units you want and whatever options they have as well. The last one is Mantic. Mantic is in the funny place now because you can build an army on it and you can delete that army and replace it, but it is limited to how many armies you can build for all their games. I believe it's 1 for each game, which I'm not a fan of. I think it should be at least 1 or 2 or 3 rather than just the 1. I might be wrong. It might be more than 1. But again, it's very easy to use. You get all the rules, all the special rules. You get everything you need for your army. So, and of course, there's Games Workshop 1, which I'm not going to mention I don't use it, okay? And that's just for 40k or Age of Sigmar. Seeing as the Horus Heresy is a far better game, it doesn't have one yet, and it is behind a paywall, which is really obnoxious of them, but you would have to buy the codex to get the data sheets for your codex on the phone. I think that's obnoxious, I don't like it, and I will get to the whole codex thing in a minute. I promise. Now, campaign books. Campaign books can be really cool. One of the best things a good campaign book does is the lore and how the missions apply to that part of the fluff, that part of the lore. I think that's really good. I think that's a nice way of doing it. So you can get a good idea of what the story is behind it, and you get a good idea, and then you can sort of play it out as it was kind of meant to be played out. And this is something I quite like, and I think Halpy's Rift's very good for that one. Of course, the Horus Heresy ones are all right, but then the Horus Heresy ones fall flat, and I've got to mention this because they have data sheets in them. So if you want a certain model like Madrak, you have to buy that campaign book for his rules, and I'm not a fan of that. I think that's wrong. Conquest do a small box which has basic lore, basic fluff. It's quite in depth, but they do this whole QR code thing, which I think is fantastic. So if you want to look at it even more, you use your phone click, you get all the fluff you need to get. But it comes with 2 named characters. It's not a big thick book. It's like a little A5 pamphlet more than anything else. The missions attached as well. Bit on the more expensive side, in my opinion. It's a £50 box. But I can see what they're doing here. They want you to play the game and they want you to get into the game and tell the story. Conquest is a story that the players tell. And that's the way it works. And I like that community outreach. I think that's fantastic. I've not seen it yet, but they do polls on which army should win this next war or something. And so the community has this very real input on the story. And I think that's brilliant. I do like that. War Cradle do campaign books and new campaign books in behind their news. So every time you've got a starter set, say a Hunt for Prometheus or Sturginium Skies, there's a campaign book in there. So you got the story of that box as well as the rule book as well. But again, this is a small pamphlet and it has the lore of what's happening and the missions you need to do. I believe also these are free as well, which is a good thing. You can download it for free. This is all great. See, this is the sort of thing I like with a campaign book. Now, codices, army books, and supplements. I can give codices a leeway, kind of. If the army book, let's call them army book. If the army book is pretty in depth with the lore and is well made, it's a good book. But making it mandatory to buy it for the rules is, to me, absolutely wrong. I think that's something you shouldn't do. And even if just the rules are on the app, long as you've got the rules there, that's cool. You can download the rules free. That's fantastic. So something like Warlord Games, where they have their army books for their factions, for the each of the armies, Great Britain, Germany, etc. The rules are still available on the app, so you don't have to do it. Now, where I can give codices a bit of a leeway, even though they are mandatory to play, which is absolutely, again, obnoxious. Datasheets should be free for all the games. I'm sorry, but they should be able to just say, here's your datasheets, this is what you need to play your army. You shouldn't have to buy a book to do this. I'm still pretty new to Warlord Games, so I will be buying some army books to see if it's a necessity, and when 3rd edition drops. And I'll keep you guys up to date. But with me, supplements are far more egregious. I do not like supplements that you have to buy. This way of forcing you to... So, I was a Dark Angels player, I was a Blood Angels player, and so having to buy another book, as well as the codex to use my army, I find absolutely abhorrent. Back in 8th edition, Blood Angels had their own codex. That was great. I didn't have to buy the Space Marines codex for it. I had a full codex for my Blood Angels. So what was the necessity for a supplement? And this idea of a supplement that now, if I was to go back to 40k and start playing Blood Angels again, I have to buy the Space Marine Codex and I have to buy the Blood Angel supplement. And I think supplements are absolutely disgusting. But even worse, if they're a mandatory supplement, you can get supplements to armies which aren't mandatory. You don't need them. Such as, I've actually got Used Games Workshop for this one, such as the Tomb Kings one. You don't need the Tomb Kings supplement to play Tomb Kings, only to use certain models and different rule sets. I mean, yeah, fine. It is a bit disgusting that if you are to use Cetra, you do have to buy that supplement. I don't like that. I think, like I said before, all data sheets should be free of charge. They should be. These sort of books should be there for lore. And again, with Warlord Games, it's kind of a... I don't know. With Warlord Games, because they're historical, the lore side isn't something I would go out and buy a book for. Because I can find out all the history on World War II and the Desert Rats by going on the internet and just getting it. So when it comes to lore in Warlord Games, I can give it a bit of a, I can take it with or leave it sort of thing. But it would be interesting to have these sort of books on my bookshelf anyway. Some actual World War II history books rather than Wild West history books. Yeah, wonder which one I went with. Roman Empire, World War II. No, I'm going yeehaw all the way with this one. So, with these things, I do like them. Don't get me wrong. And I think they should only ever be optional. And if you're getting into the hobby, I'm going to get into trouble. Before you buy your codex, if you're going into 40k, or anything by Games Workshop, and before you buy the army books, see if you can go to Wahapedia and find the rules yourself first. Going out and having to buy a mandatory book disgusts me, and I would never ever suggest that. It's one of the reasons why I actually do prefer Kings of War. It's why one of the reasons Wild West Exodus is my favourite game. It's because I don't really need to buy much outside of the models I want. Same with Kings of War. I can get the very basic rulebook and the datasheets I want for free. And that I enjoy. These companies do make their money via the models. That's their big one. So charging for datasheets and having them mandatory is a problem. So go to the apps. The apps are usually the best place, especially for Conquest and Warlord Games. Actually, I'm just going to unmantic. They're all very good. And you can check your rules there. You're not going to get the fluff or the lore or anything like that. You're going to get the basic rules that you need for your army, which is great. I like it. So that's what I would do, and that's what I do. Like before, do again. Right, and that's what I do. So, because before I check an army or anything like that, I do like to see what they play like. I am a big fan of reading the more technical side of rules. And when it comes to things like army books, if it's more technical, if I was to do if they bring out a Desert Rats book, I would buy it. And if it had the information on the Matilda and the actual technical information on the Matilda or the Churchill or the Sherman Firefly VC, which they had at the end of the war, that book would be far more appealing to me rather than a timeline of events of what the Desert Rats did. And that's just me. Everyone each to their own. I do like the more technical side of stuff. It's just something I enjoy. So that's my thoughts. If you're getting started, just sort of look at the rules where you can get them for free. Like I said, Wahapedia, Battlescribe, or their own apps, except Games Workshop, of course. And then decide. And now, if you've got all the rules and you're not too interested in the fluff, that's fine. You've got the rules. You know how to play the game. You've got everything you need. You can just tear away. But if you're interested in the extra story parts, the extra fun, to bring the story more to life on the tabletop, that's where campaign books, army books should come into play. That's the most important part of them, because that's what they should really be doing, so you can get a better idea of your army or the campaign you're playing as. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this more longer than usual video, and I hope you're all having a lovely day. I'll see you in the next one. And of course, if you want to save money on your wargaming, don't forget to hit Wayland Games down below. They have Mantic Conquest, Wild West Exodus, Dystopian Wars, all the good games which I'm loving right now, including Bolt Action. I need to buy some flesh paint before I forget. And there it is. And free delivery off to £20. There is also Forbidden Planet. It sounds dirty, it's not. It's a comic shop and it's a good one. It's one I use. And they have some really good sales on there actually. If you're looking into graphic novels, you can get some really good discounts on some really good books. And there's my merchandise as well. You know, stickers, t-shirts, travel mugs, notebooks, all the usual cool stuff. There is also my comics, which I keep forgetting about. If you want to see Little Red Riding Hood, go ham on some Lovecraftian werewolves, cyborgs. Or you just want to read a horror anthology with a very dark story about alcoholism in it. That's down below as well. There is also Skyforge. Never forget Skyforge, good friend of mine. Give him a click, let's get him up in that Google algorithm. And finally, Patreon, because business. Bye-bye.